So, welcome to our LinkedIn Masterclass, and especially welcome to Karen, who we've secured to come and share some of her expertise in the world of LinkedIn. And a little bit about Karen is probably more importantly, her clients often refer to her as the LinkedIn lady, which is really what you want to know, that's their nickname when you want to learn from them about LinkedIn. They clearly know what they're talking about. Not only that, but she's a leading communication strategy consultant, so facilitates workshops and is a LinkedIn specialist, hence why we brought her here today. Because Kylie and I cannot know everything about every platform. And so where we feel that it would benefit for you guys to hear it from somebody else, we bring them in so that you can ask them those questions that have been bugging you for a while about a platform. So Karen works with both individuals and organisations, and she helps them develop better systems to attract, acquire and engage clients or future employees, because that is also another wonderful use for LinkedIn. So she develops relevant tools, action plans, and works with both individuals and teams. And she does that through coaching, training, and education to help improve their business, their performance, and overall happiness. So not only has she got this wonderful experience with LinkedIn and all of those areas, she also has a Bachelor of Business Marketing, is a registered teacher, a certified trainer, and has extensive experience training high-performance teams and facilitating formal business trainings and programs. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Karen just to say a little hello and talk a little bit about, what she believes in and what makes her tick.
Thank you for having me, and what a lovely introduction, Vin. I really appreciate it. Well, what do I believe in? I believe in lots of things. I think in the context of what we're going to talk about today, I think it's important to share with people where I come from, which is really, I believe that your unique story is your selling point, and for business owners thinking about doing more with LinkedIn, I think that's a really important point, and I spend a lot of time talking to clients about, let's celebrate all of you. It doesn't just have to be what you're doing in your job right now or what you're doing in your business right now. I also believe that collaboration is better than competition, so I really enjoy opportunities like this to speak with your community and to sort of play, so to speak, with Ben and Kylie, so thank you. And I'm also really passionate about customization. So in a world where automation is extremely tempting and is definitely valuable for parts of your business, I really want to share with you today how important it is that you don't automate your time on LinkedIn and that you really do value it as a place to nurture business relationships and referrals to help you achieve your business goals.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Now, one of the things I did fail to mention is we will have time for questions at the end for you to ask Karen. So save them up, write them down as we're about to embark into the top 10 tips that Karen's got, and then we'll stop and have some time for them at the end, and you can type them in and Karen can share her wonderful knowledge with you. So we'll dive into the top 10 so we can get into the meaty side of the content for today. And probably one of the biggest things Kylie and I find when we run our workshops is that we get that question, I just don't understand LinkedIn. I'm fine with Facebook, I'm all over Instagram, and yeah, I do a bit of Twitter, but I don't get, it's different and I don't get what I'm supposed to do. And can you tell me how it's different and how I'm meant to behave differently on LinkedIn? And sometimes that fear stops people actually using it. So if you could help us out there a little bit, Karen, that'd be awesome.
Sure, and often that fear is what stops people. What's the etiquette? How do I use this in my sort of arsenal? So I think the most important thing is to not consider LinkedIn as a social media platform. It is really a professional networking platform. So while you might network on Facebook and other platforms, really you've got permission on LinkedIn more than any other online space to have a more serious conversation. Doesn't mean you have to be serious all the time, but the implication is that it has quite high conversion to sale, especially for B2B businesses. So I don't necessarily mean as an overt lead generator, but certainly if you're really clear about your purpose on LinkedIn and you write your profile to attract people who are sort of doing some research on you or making a decision about sort of purchasing you or collaborating with you or, finding out more about your services, LinkedIn is a really powerful place to do that. And I guess that's how it's different. It's more about professional networking. So everything that you know about working with someone when you meet them face to face, all of those rules apply. So if you're feeling really hesitant about using LinkedIn, just imagine it's a big room where there's lots of opportunity, and that when someone looks at your profile, it's like they're assessing what you're like professionally. And that's probably the things I like. One of the things I really like about it is it's quite time efficient. So if you are trying to have more serious conversations, you can sort of network with people, and there's different ways that you can do that through commenting and engaging, just like you would potentially on other platforms, liking, commenting. And you can also use company pages. So I think we'll talk about that a little bit, Ben, but that's, I guess, where, my answer to this question is about how it's different, but there is the option for a LinkedIn company page. So if you're a service-based or B2B business, there are some parallels with, say, your Facebook page, but again, your content, you've got to think about, well, who am I trying to influence? What do I want to be known for?
Yep, beautiful. And I think we will delve a little bit more down the track about the types of things to post. We won't get into that detail here. We'll sort of build on that as we progress through the 10 different points. So moving on to number 2, and here we go. What wouldn't you post on LinkedIn? And I think this is the big stumbling point for most small businesses is is there a line that I don't cross as far as the type of content that I can post perhaps on Instagram and Facebook, but I wouldn't post on LinkedIn? And a little bit of guidance there would be wonderful.
Absolutely. So I'm going to make the distinction between your profile and your company page. So from your profile, I wouldn't post things like what you had for lunch, quizzes, rants about service experiences. I'd maintain your professionalism. So I don't really want to hear about non-work related issues unless perhaps it's a charity or something that your organisation is related to that helps you and your business be known for an alignment with that charity. In terms of your company page, you can include quotes now. Quotes have become slightly more popular on LinkedIn, but again, remain professional. And I think a wise person once said to me, if you don't have anything nice to say, you're probably best not to say it. So a more professional tone than perhaps other platforms.
Beautiful. All right. So, no photos of my dog on LinkedIn.
Correct. Or your children. As lovely as your children are, I'm sure. Yeah. Save that for other platforms.
All right. Coming across loud and clear. All right. So, point number 3. And we have a lot of creative businesses that are part of our kin, and sometimes LinkedIn is viewed by these types of businesses as something that's more for your accountant or your lawyer or your large corporates. So if you could kind of give us a bit of an understanding of how a creative or a smaller business or a solopreneur might actually use LinkedIn to their benefit.
So how you'd use it and how active you are on the platform depends on who you are trying to influence. So this principle applies to any platform, but think about who's on it. So there are professionals on it. Are they your ideal clients? But think beyond that. If they're not your ideal clients and they're referrers, so people who refer your services, then you would spend time on the platform. So everyone knows about 300 other people, and I like to think that people in my community want me to be successful. So you have permission to really share information about particular projects you might be working on, portfolios, pictures of events that you've been at. Sort of secondary to that, or as well as that, depending on what your goals are, it's a very valuable tool for research. So you can choose to never post something on LinkedIn, but use it to see what's going on around the world in your space. So you'll find that most thought leaders or global influencers are probably on LinkedIn. They will probably have a profile and may even have a company page. So it's a good chance for you to research and even collaborate with them and see what they're doing. But the other sort of key way you can use it is just to, from an online point of view, control the information people can find out about you. So because it's such a big platform, if someone types in your name and your LinkedIn profile is well written, it's probably one of the first things that will come up. So it's your opportunity to control the professional self that you're putting out there.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to look at it, is don't necessarily look at it about what it can do for you as far as who you're going to find and who you're going to connect with. It's more about having that presence. And it's really the way people looked at websites back when, people were deciding, should I have one or shouldn't I have one? Well, what if someone's
Mm.
trying to find you and you're not there, and you're
Yeah.
pitching some business, or you're wanting to get a wholesale account with them, and they go onto LinkedIn and they're looking at researching all your competitors and you're not there. So it's another way to look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Control the information that's out there about you because, and LinkedIn gives you a great opportunity to do that.
And as I mentioned too, you're not necessarily wanting to go on there to connect with corporates, but it might be suppliers that you use. It might be couriers that you use. It might be, people that you're regularly uh, dealing with, that if you show that you're connected to them, that can go a long way to someone helping make the decision. If they say, oh, well, they're connected to this person, and I think they're credible, then suddenly your credibility builds in their mind.
Yes, and when we talk about connecting with people you don't know and criterias, I'll share with you, I mean, I won't share specific examples, but many people I speak to talk about, someone invited them to connect and then they followed up with, why did you connect with me? And a conversation started. And they look back on some of those initial connections and how those collaborations have developed and realized it was because that person found them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Very powerful. So moving on to tip number 4. So, and you touched on this earlier, what is the difference between a personal profile and a LinkedIn business page? And I know a lot of businesses in our workshop go, oh, really? Like if I set up a LinkedIn profile, do I have to manage a page about my business as well? It's just something else to post to. So perhaps if you could help our kin understand what would be the benefit of having that business page and how
Yeah.
the two might differ.
Okay, so your professional profile, or your personal profile is you. So it should have a headshot of you. And as I said, in terms of networking, it's the place for people to connect with you. It's for you to write detail about your whole story. So not just what you're doing now in your business, but what you've done leading up to this point, any projects that you're involved in, any publications that you have, lists of skills. So it's a chance for someone to really look at who you are, what you stand for professionally, and to look at maybe some recommendations and endorsements of skills by other people. So it's a chance for people to evaluate you. Just because someone connects with you doesn't give you permission to sell to them. So I think it's really important to remember with a professional profile to treat your connections with respect. And that's why I really like the option. And what I mean by that is don't post content on your profile that's about me, I've got this on, come along, I'm, running a workshop, come along. That's really the space more for your LinkedIn business page, and you can post regularly from that. And it's also an opportunity for you to own some real estate on LinkedIn because it's free for you to set up a LinkedIn company page, and you can do it if you have a domain-based email address. So if I was Karen Hollenbach at Gmail, I couldn't set up a company name, but Karen at Think Bespoke, I could set up a company name. So it's free for you to do. It's very easy for you to do. And a company page you might just have as a directory. So you might not choose to post, but if someone's looking at your profile and they click on, oh, she works at Think Bespoke, they can actually get a profile of what Think Bespoke stands for. And as your business grows, that may or may not be relevant for you in terms of making a distinction between you as an individual and your company. You can also separately post from your company page, and that's really if you're trying to build a community on LinkedIn, and you would do that in exactly the same way with a follower strategy and all the principles that Kylie and Ben would have shared with you about things that you do on your Facebook page, except it's professional posts, which they should be from your Facebook fan page. So does that answer it, Ben? Do you think in
Yeah.
terms of the differences and how you might use it and the benefit?
And probably one little side question, which we could talk about for ages, but if you could just give us a little guidance. If you were using LinkedIn to recruit a staff member, can you do that without having a premium profile? And does that mean,
Absolutely. So there's so many things you can do from LinkedIn as a free. And part of my training is very much showing people, look, there are all these features available to you. You don't have to have a premium account. It's when you want to start doing more active searches that you probably need to pay for a premium account,
Yeah.
and you'll also be harder to find. But yes, if you had a job that you were posting, you could definitely do that from your profile without having a company page. However, you'll see all of the large Australian organisations actually pay LinkedIn to have a careers page, and that's a huge investment. It's a $20,000 investment.
So just to clarify, you don't need to set up a business page in order to post a job vacancy.
Definitely not.
Great. Yep, that's awesome. It's just a little thing that people might think they needed to have had that business page to do.
No, and just think, this whole concept of treating your connections with respect. Just think, if I share this information, is it of value to my community? And if I see people advertising jobs from their profile, I normally like them because I want my network to know that that job is available.
Yes.
And that they could potentially go for it.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, so tip number 5, in our workshops, we always talk about analysing your data and your stats and knowing the best time to post or the best day of the week. Can you get access to that kind of data on LinkedIn, and is it useful, and are there any tips you could give us about times or days?
Yeah, so LinkedIn does provide some great analytics. If you have a company page, you get more analytics than you would just posting from your profile. However, now that LinkedIn has the option to post LinkedIn Pulse articles, you can see who's looking at your profile and how it compared to other posts that you've written. So the best time officially from LinkedIn is during a commute. So 60% plus users are looking at their news feed really on LinkedIn on their way to work and on their way home from work. Now, the exception to that is, well, hang on, what if I'm not, what if I'm not a commuter? What if I'm not in full-time paid work? So this is where it's going to depend based on your community. So if you think about parts of my community, job seekers and career changers, Sunday is a really popular time in my network and for the people I'm trying to influence to be on LinkedIn because they're potentially dissatisfied with their jobs, they might be looking for jobs on LinkedIn, they might just be researching other roles or looking at recruiters, so Sunday is a busy time for them. So like any platform, you want to think about, you'd really like to think about when your ideal client is on it and just test and measure. So I generally do my LinkedIn Pulse articles on a Saturday or a Sunday. Now, I think that's a byproduct of when I write them, but also that's when I've got clear thinking space to write them and I'm thinking about it, but also I've had success by doing that because there seems to be this delay of about 12 hours before they kick into the LinkedIn Pulse news feed, and then they start to pick up quite a good response and people like and comment, and then with 24 hours, they've moved through. So if you're going to post from your profile in terms of a long form post, a LinkedIn Pulse article, you might view it like the Sunday paper. It's when people are inclined to read. But I've also heard business bloggers say the busiest time for people to read business articles are a Thursday morning.
Yes.
But again, that comes back to it being during the commute.
Sure. And just for those that aren't aware, and you've explained that it's a long form post and it's called Pulse, it's like taking a blog post and reposting it within the LinkedIn environment. Just to clarify that. All right.
And that's a great opportunity then for any of your sort of the community that do post. That LinkedIn can just be a place for you to curate content that you've already produced. So it doesn't have to represent a whole lot of more work for you.
No, it's just another distribution channel.
Exactly.
So the big question about connecting with people, and I have this challenge when I meet clients or people in a business sense, and then they connect with me on Facebook to be my friend, but or people I've never met that connect to be my friend on Facebook. And to me, I'm more than happy to connect with them on LinkedIn if I've never sighted them or met them in person. But to me, my Facebook personal profile is too close to home for me. So sort of touching on that whole etiquette and is it okay to connect with people that you don't know on LinkedIn that you might just want to network with, like you'd walk up to them at a party and say, hi, I'm Binny, I've really wanted to meet you. They'd welcome that. Is that the same thing you can recreate on LinkedIn?
Well, yes and no. So I agree with the principles of I'm much more comfortable connecting with, accepting a connection of someone on LinkedIn and Facebook if I don't know them. But the question you've sort of specifically asked is, what about who I connect with? So I like to play hard to get on LinkedIn, and if I see someone looking at my profile, I will tend to look back at their profile, and you'll generally get them to send you an invitation to connect. So I generally will not connect with someone who I haven't met.
Mm-hmm.
I will want to connect with someone that I've met. Or if I'm going to see a guest speaker, or if I've got a potential client that I know has been referred to me, I will send a connection and say, hi, you've been referred, I'm just looking at your profile in preparation for meeting you.
Yep.
That's fine, but only under those circumstances would I actually send an invitation.
Oh, are you there? I've lost sound. We've lost sound, Karen. Can everybody else hear me? Just type in the questions if they can hear me, Binny. Okay, just a minute. And can you hear Karen? Is Karen talking? All right. Can anybody hear me right now? Okay, can anyone hear me now? No, it's still connected. I think it's just me. It just shut me out, and it's just saying reconnecting. Wait 5 minutes. So I've been able to. Hello, I am so sorry. This webinar software has a mind of its own, and apparently I'm back. So,
Welcome
can you hear me, Karen?
back.
um,
I can hear you, and I wasn't yeah, so I did say to everyone, look, I think this is what's happening. I don't know if you can hear me. So I'm sure everyone just powered through a whole lot of emails that they weren't expecting to get on top of. So I'm sure it's fine.
Brilliant. So, apologies. So we're back. It just told me I had to be patient, and it was going to sort it out for me. So, here we are. I think you kept talking after I was shut out. So, I'm not quite sure where you got to with connecting with
I
people.
did for
Uh,
a little bit. I did
uh,
for a little bit, and then there was some silence. So in terms of connecting with people you don't know, I think I'll summarize.
yeah.
Have a criteria. Since as if people are connecting with you, have a criteria. I don't connect with people that I haven't met unless it's for client research, as I explained to you. I do look at their profile so they see that I'm looking. This is a networking tactic and it works. So play hard to get. But you can also be bold occasionally. So if there can occasionally be exceptions to the rules where someone has inspired you or you've read an article or you've heard them speak, in that situation it might be appropriate just to send an invitation to connect, but always contextualize and always personalize your invitation.
Yeah, and look, you will get a lot of Indian web development companies contacting you, and I've been solicited by a few males from America. You can usually tell when you look at their profile and there's not much substance to it that they're people that you just do not want to accept their invitation.
Yeah, yeah.
So we now touch on the importance of connecting with past colleagues, and I think this is probably one of the most undervalued connection that you will make in LinkedIn, where you think that it's all about what you're doing now and where you're headed. But the value of this is amazing, and we'd love you to share, what that's all about.
Yes, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to tell you, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And depending on where you're at in your career journey, you've worked for other organisations, whether that be in paid work or in voluntary organisations. So you must connect with everyone that you have ever worked with or has seen you professionally conduct yourself. And certainly you can connect with friends if they're in the professional space. So people refer and do business with people that they're familiar with. And I like to think, I think I said this earlier, people want you to be successful so they can endorse you for your skills. You can ask for recommendations. And certainly in my experience, if I look back to some of my original referrers, when I became a lot more active on LinkedIn, it was people that just sort of sat on the edges and watched my journey. And when someone in their community needed help with LinkedIn or needed help in the career space or needed help in the sort of communication strategy space, they would refer me on and give my profile to other people. And they're only able to do that if they know what you're doing and you're connected with them. So I really encourage people to develop a target influencer list. So once you've connected with everyone you know, really think about who's in your community that you would like to influence and make sure that you are networking with them on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Are you still there, Karen?
Yeah, no, I'm still there. I just
Just
paused. It was a very contemplative pause.
mild panic nearly set in again. And the importance of it too is that Kylie and I have picked up work when we both left corporate and moved into running our own social media business from people from 3 jobs ago that had been following what we were doing and in their business needed our services or knew somebody that did. So out of the woodwork these people come, and that need to build trust with them is eradicated.
Yeah,
So half the hard work of selling and convincing them about needing your services is done, which is just awesome.
yeah, it is. And I think that's where it's sort of lends itself as the networking tool
Mm.
more than any other platform. So just be connected to everyone you've ever worked with. If you're not, and you've had a really strict criteria, if you do nothing else as a result of today, please just go and connect with all those people that you used to work with.
Yeah. So tip number 8, and we touched a little bit about this before, is it worth paying for premium access? Because almost everything these days starts off with a free access and lures you in, and then it you'll get emails constantly. Would you like to upgrade to premium? Well, here, try for a month
Yeah.
premium access. What's behind those golden gates of premium access that might be useful or we might find is actually worth paying for?
All right, so it really does depend on your goals. There's many features available in having a free LinkedIn profile, and as I mentioned, you can also set up your company page for free, given you have to have a certain number of connections, I think, on your LinkedIn profile before you do that. Behind the golden gates are two key things. You will come up in searches. You'll rank higher, basically, in searches for different skill sets, and you will have more ability to do advanced searches for ideal clients or suppliers. However, if you're not in the recruitment space and you're not going to look up more than 10 people, that's not really worth your while. But if you're looking for it for sort of lead generator, certainly people do invest in a sales navigator and those sorts of functions. And that's probably a space that, I understand LinkedIn is used for that, and I understand that people do use it for sales leads, but I would really encourage people just to play around in the free space first and really work out, get comfortable with LinkedIn and network actively yourself. And in terms of searches, if people are looking for you under skills, that's fine, but you'll generally find people will type in your name because you've been recommended by someone or your company has been recommended by someone. So that in the advanced search box or in the search box up the top, they'll probably type in your name anyway.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So, I mean, premium access is probably at the point where you're feeling really confident, you're using a lot of the free features in LinkedIn and feel that you'd like to sort of progress to the next level. But amazingly, most of the free features pretty much cover off most of what you'd need as a small size business.
Yes. And if people are thinking about it, my recommendation is make sure your profile's looking great and dedicate the next 30 days to being more active on LinkedIn and just see for yourself what it's like. But remember, it's a default, like it kicks over. So you've got to remember on those, at the end of those 30 days, that free
Yes.
rolls over to regular payments.
And really, that's the best way to trial it. But going with an active plan on utilising those features and seeing if it's something that you'd like to continue with.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. So we all love a good example or a case study or just some little snippets and ideas on how people might be creatively or just in a standard way using LinkedIn that might help paint the picture for somebody that wants to give it a go but doesn't really know what they would do with it. So if you've got anything you
Yes.
can share with us.
Well, there's 4 out of 5 professionals are on LinkedIn. So the first thing to think about is, who am I trying to influence? And if you are trying to influence previous colleagues or more of a professional B2B community, then the sorts of things you can do, or at the very least, is optimize your LinkedIn profile. So what I mean by that is write your profile for people who are thinking about doing business with you, or you've had a conversation with a networking event and there might be a potential collaboration. Don't write it like it's a resume. So the first thing is just to really look at your LinkedIn profile objectively and say, if someone who I've had who I'm either pitching to at the moment or wanting to work with or wanting to influence, if they looked at my LinkedIn profile right now, does it present the best version of me? And there's many options within there to share projects, to visual galleries. You can link to websites, you can link to publications, you can link to your newsletter, you can link to your website. So really optimize your profile. So that's sort of step one. Make sure you're presenting your best professional self. And I see, might sound really basic, but I see so many people treat it like a resume, talk in the third person, and it's just not appealing. Like, I don't get a sense of what you like to do business with. Talk to me in the first person. Tell me what your belief system is in terms of, what do you believe in? What's one of your favorite mantras, if that's important to you? Who inspires you? The second thing is posting regularly from your LinkedIn profile. So being active, I won't say posting, being active from your LinkedIn profile. So good users of LinkedIn are reading their community's content and engaging with their community. And how they're doing it is either liking the content that their connections are sharing, commenting, or joining the conversation. Mm-hmm. So for those of you familiar with Facebook, that's no different to what you would do on a Facebook page, but it's for professional context. So those that do it well make a decision of the 3 or 4 topics that they're going to regularly get involved in when they're on LinkedIn. And the reason why I encourage people to do this is then it becomes a very effective focus tool, and the types of content that you like and comment on pops up in your feed. So people who are connected to you will say, okay, well, this is what that person stands for professionally. This is what they're interested in. And then finally, not finally, you can also post, as we talked about, the LinkedIn Pulse articles. And if you're already blogging, this can be an easier step than you might realise.
Yeah.
So have a look through your last sort of 6 weeks worth of content and say, what is an article that is a blog post that is relevant to my community? And don't feel like you've got to repurpose it completely and use a different image. LinkedIn within its own universe has a newsfeed called Pulse and gives you the option to tag. So when you post that article, yes, it will go to everyone within your community, but it will also go into the LinkedIn newsfeed and go beyond your connections. And that is incredibly powerful. And whenever I go through my social media analytics bin, I am consistently blown away by the engagement I get on my LinkedIn Pulse articles versus my blog posts on my website.
And it's probably your audience you're more highly targeted in LinkedIn than you would be otherwise. And Kylie has a habit of doing that every Sunday when she launches the Leap Story blog post. She takes that content and reposts it into Pulse on LinkedIn every Sunday. And, for those people, especially those, you're targeting yourself as well, career changes and people looking to change jobs, or, Kylie's targeting potentially people that are looking to leave corporate and make that leap. So it's really targeted content to post on LinkedIn.
Yes, and if you're focused, the lesson there, whether it be through what you target on, sort of what you put on your LinkedIn Pulse articles or what you like and comment on, is be ruthlessly focused on who you're trying to influence and what you want to be known for, and just pick 3 topics. Right, when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. So for me, it's networking, it's LinkedIn, and it's writing. They're sort of the 3 key things I'm quite interested in, because LinkedIn Pulse in particular is really interesting for people at the moment. So broadly, I just want to give you a sense of what LinkedIn can do for you in terms of how others, once they sort of get the power of the platform, it really helps you find your voice and tell your story. So if you do take the time to just tweak your LinkedIn profile and think about what your presence is on LinkedIn, that can be a real confidence boost, because you've got to sort of sharpen your focus. You can control the information people find out about you, and most importantly, what all of that does is then help you it's almost permission to network on the platform. And I've said that concept, networking, a lot. It's really messaging behind the scenes, just like you would on Facebook Messenger, liking and commenting, reading someone's LinkedIn Pulse article and then sharing it, tagging them like you would do. Similar principles on Facebook. You can tag individuals, you can tag companies if they've got a company page. So just being collegiate and collaborative, and you will actually stay top of mind for those people that you're sharing their content. That gives you lots, hopefully, depending on, I generally find everyone's at a really different stage of their LinkedIn journey.
Yeah. And look, even if you go and have a look at Karen's profile, have a look at Kylie or mine, and you'll see each of us will be sharing different things depending on our businesses. And a lot of the time we will put little videos up that we've shot of workshops as part of our sort of projects and things we're working on, or samples of slide presentations that we've done to certain businesses. We've taken out any sensitive information and posted that up via SlideShare. So there's no end to what you can do to make your profile really interactive and tell that story in ways other than words.
Yes, agreed.
So our final tip is, if we want to spend, and we get this all the time, okay, I'm going to spend all this time on this platform, and how do I know if what I'm doing is working for me? What's my measure of success on LinkedIn?
Good question. So again, it depends on your goals. And I would like to say that I don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So I definitely spent time in the setup and tweaking my profile, and depending on what's going on in my business, refining my profile and adding projects in. That's actually one of the things I really love about it. That 5 to 10 minutes a day, a bit of networking either on my desktop or on my laptop or on my phone, and you're off. So The biggest measure is how many conversations, depends on your goals, but how many conversations does the time that you spend on it, sort of where does it get you to? So can you feel inquiries coming through? Are you being introduced to conversations? Are you having coffee catch-ups based on your goals and the people that you're trying to influence? So that's subjective, but people will say to you, you'll think back to sort of some initial leads or some initial conversations or some initial collaborations and remember that it started with someone connecting with you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Posting, so on the LinkedIn Pulse articles, your measure is how many people have viewed your post, how many people are commenting, and how many people have liked it and what the comments are. Certainly, I've got a client that I write for that is a recruiter, and she literally, based on the LinkedIn Pulse article she writes from her profile, she met and has just successfully placed a candidate based on that LinkedIn Pulse article and the engagement that went on afterwards. And I've personally got about 3 examples like that. With a company page, you'll actually get normal metrics so engagement metrics like you would with any other platform. So how many people liked it, your reach. From your profile, so I'm jumping back, you can measure your success. Let's say you're at 20, 30, 40 connections right now. So you could measure your success by saying, okay, well, in 1 month's time, I want to be connected to 300 people or 350 people because I know that many people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll often hear people say, oh, I've got over 500 connections now, and that may be relevant for that person, but make sure you use the insight that we've talked about today, that first and foremost be connected with people that you know. And then research. So I guess the other measure is how has LinkedIn been a useful tool for you to learn about trends around the world, trends around Australia within your industry, and how much have you learnt that you can then take into your practice within your own business that's helped you to do new things.
Yeah. And that's a hard one to actually put a quantitative measure on, but you'll know yourself, especially if you find yourself heading back to LinkedIn because you got something of value there the last visit, you are heading back again to see what else is being posted or what else you can learn. I think that's a great gauge that it's giving something back to you.
Absolutely. And you can follow key influencers and writers on LinkedIn, so you don't have to be connected. You can follow them and so their information comes through in your feed.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've aimed to do, and in these webinars, we like to keep it very brief and to the point and get straight into the detail, but we also love to give you an opportunity to ask some questions of Karen for those that have managed to come live, and that's the benefit of being here live. So fire away if you want to type any questions in, and I can ask them for Karen to respond. And she can give you her insights or help you with some challenges that you might be finding with your experience on LinkedIn. While we're waiting for the questions to be typed, one of our clients actually talked about how she managed to get access to supplying products into some of the major retailers and suppliers and supermarkets because of her connection that she'd had with people she'd done business with before that were very senior CEOs in large businesses. And she found that when she went straight in, and this was, her approach was she didn't mind going in cold to people that were heading up businesses. But when they saw that she was also connected to other CEOs of large corporations, it really helped to give her credibility. And she got straight in at the top and was able to secure some amazing deals doing that. So it kind of blew my mind how much value is placed on the connections that you've got. So go and connect to those people because sometimes it's all they've got to judge.
And that's a brilliant example. If I'm about to go into a conversation with a new client or I'm going after a new client, I will look at that person and see who we know and how we're connected.
Yes.
And I will ring, old school, I'll ring my connection and say, how do you know them? What can you tell me about them?
Yes.
How should I pitch this? And it's incredibly useful both ways. So to be evaluated, and your example is brilliant, but also for yourself to get confidence that you're doing some research on the people that you're speaking to.
Yeah. So one thing that newbies on LinkedIn may not be aware of is that every profile that you visit, that person is told that you've been there and looked at it. So if you're going to start stalking ex-boyfriends or ex-husbands, be fully aware of that. So it brings us to the question that Amber's got is, while you are researching, is there any way of viewing someone's profile without them knowing that you've done that?
Yes. So your default setting, very, very good question, and it's better that you know that than research and they see you looking. Yes, certainly. So in your privacy settings, if you're on the laptop or desktop version on the top right-hand side, you'll see your LinkedIn photo. You click on that, it says Privacy Settings Manage, and you'll have the option on the bottom left-hand side to what people see when you've viewed their profile. There are three options. The first option is for them to see your profile completely. The second option is for them to sort of see that someone within your industry in a particular location is looking at them. And the third one is to be completely anonymous. So I recommend you click on the third one in that situation where you're doing research, and they'll know that someone's looking at their profile, but they will have no way of connecting it back to you.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but when you actually choose to be anonymous, it also means you can't see who's looking at your profile during that period of time.
Correct. Correct.
So if you're happy to
So
forego
I turn
that,
mine on and off daily. Daily, I'm so vigilant with when I'm researching, when I'm not researching, and yes, you cannot be. Yes, that is correct. What you said, Ben.
yeah, great. Um, and were there any other questions that anyone had specifically? There's another one I'll throw in there is that people might be getting really excited thinking, oh, I've got all these blog posts and I've got all these projects and I'd like to add all of these onto my profile now. If you do that, does that mean you'll be flooding your profile feed with all of these projects all at once? And is there a way you'd recommend
Yes.
that perhaps you go about doing that?
So it's a newer function which I love because you used to have to go into the privacy settings. So when you're in your profile, and really do encourage you to do this from a desktop or laptop, not from your phone, even though there's much greater functionality from your phone now. So you go into edit profile and just scroll down, and on the right hand side there's a little button. Do I want to notify my network of these changes? Just click it over to no and make sure it's red. And so you can make all the changes because I don't want to know that you're making about 16 changes on your profile. However, once you've made all your changes and you're about to upload a new headline, which is just under your name, or you're about to load a new photo, it's probably worth you clicking back over to, yes, I'm happy to notify. And that is the one thing, once you've made all your changes, that people will see, because that'll get a conversation started.
Yeah.
So yes, you can have safety. You know what I actually thought you were going to ask me, Ben, too, which I'm going to mention? Just be mindful if you are thinking about posting on LinkedIn Pulse, how regularly you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very easy to even if I'm connected to you, it's very easy to unsubscribe from your updates.
Yes.
So just think about how often you would want to. I certainly wouldn't want to hear from people more than once a week, and I'd suggest that's even quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice. So we've got a couple of questions that have come in. So Gloria has said, thanks for today. My understanding is that I cannot write a customized message when asking to connect with someone unless I have premium. Is this correct? I also thought, sorry, yeah, go. There's two parts of the question. So start with that one.
I believe that's incorrect. However, LinkedIn messaging has just changed in November, December, and that's the first time I've heard that. So the way to test that theory is from your phone, if you have a free account, from your phone on the top right-hand side. And the only reason you sort of got a ooh from me is as a platform, it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
So my belief is that you can tailor a message. I would like to triple check that hasn't changed recently with the messaging changes.
Okay. And then Gloria's also written, I also thought that you needed premium to see who is looking at your profile. Is this correct or not?
Yes, yes, that is correct. You don't have as great functionality in terms of search and who's looking at your profile.
So some people that have got premium can choose for you not to see them, can't they, if you don't have premium?
Yeah, so, and if she's tried to connect with specific people, I can choose what you see and I can choose how easy it is for you to send me connection requests.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm going to clarify those 2 points just because of the changes recently.
Okay.
And we'll share them on the page in the next 4 hours, Ben, just to make sure that we're clear. Just because those who are not aware, group messaging changed in October, and so the group app and the LinkedIn app changed in December. So it's a bit of a moving target at the moment. There's lots, they're really trying to enhance the user experience.
Yeah, which needed to happen. So that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
So a question from Peter. What is the etiquette on asking your connections to follow your business page?
So when you're in so I tend to do it once every 3 to 4 weeks, and you'll go in on your company page. And the thing you've got to be really clear about with your company page is what is the promise that you're making to people for why they should follow it. So I don't think it's fair to ask people to follow it just because you want them to follow it. You've got to make a promise about, well, follow this company page for regular insight. I say follow this company page for regular insights to assist your professional journey. So the etiquette is you can do it probably once a month. When you're in your company page and you've got an option on the right-hand side to then actually share that message, either on Twitter, via your LinkedIn profile, and it might have one other option now.
Mm-hmm.
So make a promise to people. So, hey, why don't you follow my company page? Do it in your own language, where you will get regular insights about. So just tell them why they should follow it.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely acceptable as long as that you're providing valuable content. You're not just trying to sell to people, because why would I want to follow that?
Yeah, and fair enough, because people don't want to just follow a page if it's just going to sit there and do nothing. It serves no purpose.
Yes, that you can put it on the top right-hand side of your website, and you can also put it in your signature on your email.
Great. Now, were there any last
And in
questions before?
yeah, if you've got newsletters, just tell people in your newsletters that you're now on, if you create a company page, well, hey, we're now on. If you want to get regular updates on, please follow.
Absolutely, and we're all about cross-post every platform or anywhere that they can follow you that might actually suit them better. They might find they spend more time on LinkedIn, so they prefer to follow you there than on a Facebook business page. So it seems that we've just completed our last question. If there's any more, type them up and send them through now. And